Good morning, good evening. I'm Ryan Takeshita from HuffPost Japan. So welcome to the SDGs Global Festival of Action from Japan. Today we'll be discussing transforming the world with digital tech and innovation. For those watching at home, you can join the conversation on social media by using the hashtag #TurnItAround. So I have written it down. It says turn it around. So please tweet and share your ideas on Turn It Around. So let me begin with you with some facts and figures and kind of walk you through this discussion topic. And I want to tell you guys why I think this topic is important. So this fact kind of shocked me. According to a recent study by UNDP, it warns that severe long-term effects of the COVID-19 pandemic could push an additional 207 million people into extreme poverty, bringing the total to over 1 billion in the world by 2030. However, with a focused set of investments towards the SDGs, an additional 146 million people could be lifted out of extreme poverty. And I think technology will be the key issue, which we'll be discussing today. Technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrency, virtual reality, the Internet of Things, have proved their potential to advance and accelerate the achievement of the SDGs. On the other hand, advancement of technologies will also trigger new challenges as they can create inequality and even make it worse. So today's session, this session, will examine how the digital technology and innovation can bring opportunities and values to the furthest behind and contribute to the SDGs, especially addressing the poverty and inequality. So today we have three very important guests from Ghana, Nigeria, and Japan. And they all have brought transformation to people's lives. One, through provision of internet access in the non-electrified communities in Senegal. Another, through establishment of online value chain accessible by mobile phones in Nigeria. And last but not least, through provision of online agriculture advisory service in Ghana. They will all discuss opportunities and challenges exacerbated by the pandemic and provide foresights on the future of development. So that's kind of a summary of this session. And I'd like to begin with the self-introduction of three wonderful speakers. And I'll have Mr. Koichi Sato to bring this. So Mr. Koichi Sato, could you start the self-introduction, please?
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Sato from Cube. I'm connecting from Senegal. I would like to start my presentation. I lived in France for 20 years and started my own ICT business. After that, while traveling to Africa on business, I found out a big problem there. While very fast communication is available in capital cities, but slow or no internet connection in the rural areas. I wondered if I could contribute something to Africa by utilizing the ICT technology I learned in France. I wanted to do something for Africa by harnessing Japan's resources. So I decided to start a business in Japan and create a digital infrastructure in Africa with the power of Japan. Then at the TCAD business deal, I met Mr. Ayudre Odusola of UNDP. He asked me if we could use the power of the solar energy in Africa to promote rural electrification. So we decided to pursue the business of the decentralized power supply and internet in Africa. We picked Senegal as our target market where we visited rural clinics. We came across a big ODA project with a lot of the electrical equipment implemented, but most of it was broken or not working. What can be done to solve this problem? Maintenance is very important, so we developed the device called Building Block Smart Kit. As you can see on the top right, this is a piece of the equipment that combines solar panels, storage batteries, and electricity and the internet. We have signed an MOU with the Ministry of the Health in Senegal and have installed this device in 10 clinics. We could help safer childbirth and improve medical treatment by providing electricity and lights. We confirmed that e-medicine using digital technology can be introduced to the patients. I also wondered what Japan could do to supply electricity to the rural areas in a sustainable manner. We wanted to provide the technology to Africa as well as the maintenance. The key is to make things locally. If we can manufacture something locally, we can maintain them locally as well. And if we can do to maintenance, then the local people will be able to use the equipment. We are working with the Senegalese government and the Ministry of the Health on this initiatives. We are pulling through the Made in Africa with Japan concept. In the future, we would like to promote digitalization in the agriculture and the medical fields. However, in rural areas, there is no electricity or communication. Bottom line is that we cannot start anything without high-speed internet. When we try to identify what is needed, we use the method of backcasting from the lower left to the upper right in this slide. This picture shows the concept of the future city of the Sanjala with which we could conduct the MOU. We talk to the local people about what kind of electricity they need. We start with a small power and internet system and then install a device which combines electric light, digital communication system in the clinic. In this way, we can expand our business by providing local people with something they can use sustainably. We would like to provide equipment that will enable local people to use high-speed communication and electrical infrastructure in rural areas. Many young people in Africa are looking for employment opportunities, so we would like to contribute by creating jobs. I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Aisatul Jai, UNIDO's consultant in Senegal, who has been very supportive and helped us to develop our business. We would like to continue to do our best. Thank you very much.
It was a great presentation. It was interesting that you used the term "made in Africa" with Japan. What did you mean by that?
So I just want to know that the key phrase "made in Africa" with Japan, of course. So that normally, so these kinds of devices are imported from the set of overseas, but once they are broken, they cannot fix them. That's going to be the sad memories. So I think they don't have any way to fix them. So I think in these countries, so that if they get assembled, let's say, the machine by themselves, and that's going to be, let's say, that the eco-friendly at the same time, they have make the best use of the solar system. That's the things. So even though this is a very small artery that has just initiated this kind of the project.
So thank you, Mr. Sato-san. So next we have Ms. Ada Osakwe from Nigeria. Please go ahead.
Hi, arigato.
Arigato, you speak Japanese.
I'm learning.
Okay.
My name is Ada Osakwe. I'm based out of Lagos, Nigeria. Sato-san, it's so amazing to see the work you're doing on my continent, just next door in Senegal. Thank you. For me, my first exposure to digital technologies and the power of this was in 2012, when I worked with the Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria. 1.5 million. That's the number of farmers that received fertilizers for the first time directly from the government, the subsidies for their fertilizers. $156 million. That's the amount of money that the government saved that year from this particular activity. And it was all because of this, a mobile phone. Being able to use mobile technologies to directly reach the poorest of the poor, specifically in remote areas, in rural areas in Nigeria. So that was critical to achieving our objectives. It was critical to transforming the lives of so many people for the better. Since then, I continue to see the power of big data, smart technologies to transform agriculture. Specifically, it's so lovely to see things like using drones to do remote geo-checking and understanding where to plant crops, remote sensing technologies to ensure that water is applied properly and fertilizer is applied properly. And all these things truly help productivity and to improve the yields of our farmers, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa. But you know, it's one thing to increase productivity. It was so important because we were importing about $11 billion worth of food in Nigeria at the time. And for me, I was just like, this is food that our farmers can produce right here on the soil. So it was one thing to do that and increase their productivity. But what I was seeing was that in many times they were increasing their yields, but they were having no one to buy these produce from them. So they had so much production, but we had over 60% food waste in Nigeria. That's just wrong. Not only that, the food that we were importing, that $11 billion that I mentioned, most of it was highly processed foods that's not healthy for us. And at a time when 91% of our population did not have access to affordable, nutritious foods. So in 2015, I decided to start a company called Newly. Our mission at Newly is to galvanize healthier lifestyles for millions of people through locally grown fresh foods. We do this by connecting our local farmers, buying their produce directly, and then adding value to this, processing it in a clean way, and serving it to millions of consumers in the form of fresh juices and our chain of healthy food restaurants that are farm to table. We're really excited about what's happening and the potential of applying digital technologies. We're currently working on using blockchain in areas of traceability and understanding exactly which farm our produce came from and understanding the path of that produce all the way to the consumer. We're also in the process of using artificial intelligence to truly mine the data that we receive from consumers to begin to understand their health needs from food and how we can specifically understand what they could eat, the fresh local foods that they can eat that helps them become healthier for their specific blood types. And of course, in many ways, this is an exciting way to be more deliberate in the things that our farmers farm so that they're farming exactly what consumers would want to buy. So I'm truly excited about the power of digital technologies, and I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you, Ms. Osakwe. Did I pronounce your name right, Osakwe?
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay.
Some people think I'm Japanese when they hear the name.
Yeah, it sounds Japanese. So I thought you said arigato, so it was very fluent. So perfect Japanese. So interesting talk. So interesting that you mentioned about technology and artificial intelligence. May I ask you that what's the best balance between not only using technology, but kind of making use of traditional knowledge of local farmers, kind of human knowledge and technology? What's the best mix of the two?
It's such a great question because we find that sometimes technologies come from other parts of the world and they're pretty much imposed on our farmers, imposed on our local community.
Right.
Without really truly thinking about the peculiarities of the community. So I see this especially in the use of technology, AI, and even specific digital transfer of technologies using mobile phones to provide extension services to farmers where they get to, and I'm sure Gifty will speak a little bit more about that, where they get to learn and understand how to do things. But understanding the local context and the fact that they own this, they know the problems, they know the challenges, and co-creating the solution using technology, I think is the best way to proceed.
Thank you so much. Interesting. So next we have our third speaker. I want to invite Miss Gifty Minta Kwashe.
Hello.
Hi.
Ryan. Right. So as Ryan mentioned, my name is Gifty Minta Kwashe, and I'm from Ghana. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So we know that climate change, unemployment, poverty, hunger is becoming rampant or has become rampant in a part of the world. Therefore, in 2018, my co-founders and I embarked on a research to identify that about 70% of greenhouse farmers are unable to, produce up to the expected yields due to numerous challenges affecting them from knowledge gap, inefficient run-on operations, and lack of marketing support. Greenhouses are supposed to actually help in terms of food security with the use of the all-year production and all-year-round food production. But unfortunately, these greenhouse farmers are failing in a part of the world. So Tech Shelter came up with a solution that's a web and a mobile-based application to help those greenhouse farmers to have on-demand access to advisory service, automation, market linkages, and training. When I mean advisory service, for instance, Ryan, you are a greenhouse farmer and you're having a challenge in your greenhouse. What you just need to do with the power of technology and a mobile phone or any smart device, you can sit wherever you are and just take a screenshot of the affected crop, upload it onto our platform. We have online agronomists around who would actually speak to you or give you a first aid or a first remedy to be able to solve the problem online. If it persists, then you can request for us to come to your site to check for you. And aside that, we realize that a lot of farmers or farm hands are giving flimsy excuses in terms of not irrigating on time and all of those things. So to be able to cut such inconsistency in their operations, we are actually automating all their manual operations, like from irrigation, misting system, extractor fans, and any other gadgets in the greenhouse. We are automating it by using Internet of Things, that's IoT devices. And with that, you'll be able to monitor your humidity, your temperature, and all of that with the help of sensors in the greenhouse. And actually, farmers are also wondering where to send their produce. They actually lack the knowledge of what, when, and how to grow the crops the consumer needs. So with our marketing platform, what we do is we help you, the farmer, to know what exactly our customers or your customers want. So we help these greenhouse farmers to sell their produce because we have ready markets. Through our research, we're able to identify high-end yield markets to help those greenhouse farmers supply their produce after production. And we do this online and also offline as well. And finally, we help with online and on-site training. So we have people who are very busy, who have smart devices around and wants to know how to farm, when to nest, when to do transplanting, trellising, and so on and so forth. So with our smart device and other applications around, we help those farmers or people who are potential farmers to get online and then have training with us. So that is what we do at Tech Shelter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm just looking at your bio and says that you're keen on the empowerment of women and youth. Could you tell to the audience more about your challenge, your wonderful challenge?
Right, so I'm going to speak with regards to agriculture. So I realized that a lot of youth are not really interested in coming to the agriculture space because they feel it's for the old folks and agriculture is not really attractive to the youth. Why am I saying this? With the digitalization of, your business processes in the agriculture sector, it will be appealing and interesting for the youth to come on board because throughout the research, you realize that the ladies are really not interested because of the drudgery and all of those things. But after automating some of our processes and also introducing the greenhouses and smart aquaponics, hydroponics, and other smart ways of doing things in the agriculture sector, more youth, especially the women, are interested in coming on board. And when you come to our sites, we have a lot of ladies we are training in the greenhouse. Even persons with disability are able to work in the greenhouse because it is not stressful as we see it. With the use of the smartphone, you can just irrigate on your phone. So if a person with, disability is in the greenhouse, he or she, especially the women, will be able to just, with a button, turn on and off of, irrigation and other things, operations in the greenhouse. So that is what I can say for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, thanks everyone. So I have 3 questions to ask you, and I'll keep asking questions so you can just raise your hand and start speaking. But due to the lack of time, please keep your talk within about 2 or 3 minutes. So my first question is about COVID-19. So how have you found the impact of COVID-19, both from positive and negative sides, and how do you prospect your work and contribution in building back better? Does anyone want to start?
Talking about COVID-19, there are a lot of the condolences to the tragic death due to the COVID-19. So that digital transformation, digitalization is a project that we work with the Ministry of the Health, so that we would like to offer a lot of the information and the knowledge, and the digital infrastructure is a key. And what we could accelerate our contribution is that we making the Zoom conferences more effectively and more frequently between Japan and Africa, so that digital transformation was accelerated thanks to the COVID-19. So this is a big, unprecedented risk, but it's opportunity.
Yes, I really agree, because we had such technology like Zoom or online video chat, but it was after COVID-19 that we began to realize the importance of it. So any others? Do you have any thoughts on impact of COVID-19 on both negative and positive side? Yeah,
I can go.
Go ahead. Yes, sure.
You know, it's really sad, like Sato-san said, it's really sad of the number of people, and our condolences to those who have lost loved ones. From the side of things that we do, and our mission is to inspire healthier lifestyles, we found that obviously COVID was affecting a lot of people who had pre-existing conditions with regards to their health, and usually high blood pressure, obesity, things that are typically rectified with a good, healthy food diet. So we continue to see our mission even more important in these times to build back better, as we saw our sales increase from people who were now switching to fresh produce, locally grown, healthy diets. And then we also just implemented digital in a big way. Our deliveries had to increase. People could order online. We launched our app during this time so they could use their phone and order foods. And we're really excited about building back better from this pandemic.
Interesting. Do you think that healthy food is still a privilege in the world? You know, only the rich have the chance to get the healthy food? Great
point. And the stats I said earlier, you know, 91% of people in my country still don't have access to a healthy, affordable diet. And that's what we're trying to change. The fact that we are sourcing locally, it's not coming through, it's not being imported, coming through planes and all of that. So we have a shorter supply chain, and that allows us to pass this on in the form of reduced prices. So you're not getting a $10 salad, you're getting a $1 salad because it's right there in your home. So it's accessible.
I see. How about you, Ms. Kwashe? Do you agree? Do you think the same way?
Right, I do. I agree with all of them. COVID-19 has made us realize from a business perspective that no business is immune to crisis. So it has challenged us to know that moving forward, or henceforth, digital technology is very important, and we need to launch some form of digital technology in our business processes, because those with digital processes or digital technology in their business processes has helped them pivot within the COVID-19 pandemic. With us, Tech Shelter, part of our operations was affected. That's physical visits to people to check their farm, whether with essential services. We realized we needed to cut it off, especially when there was a ban on moving around. But with the online service, able to move around, we're able to use, with the power of our technology, smartphones, we are able to service our customers. And also, when it comes to our training, we trained a lot of people. People are now going at their backyard to feed themselves, and we left no one behind, you understand? And also, with marketing bits, we're actually supplying to a lot of people online with a dispatch delivery service. So it is very important that any business person out there, being it health, being it fintech, being it anywhere you find yourself within the industry, make sure you digitalize part of your business processes so you can move on within this pandemic season or era. Thank you.
Great point. So I want to ask Ms. Osaku and Ms. Kwashe that I think when talking about nutrition, I think it's important. Also, education is important, because you have to, teach the children why nutritious food and why healthy food is important to their lives. What do you think about the collaboration with the education system in your country and the business?
I think you're absolutely right. We need to do, but I think we need to do more. I did think that during COVID, we would be hearing it from government officials, from every single person, that eat better, eat healthier, get foods, vitamin C's is naturally in your oranges, in your pineapples, in your lettuce. We thought we would hear a lot more of that, but it's not happening. So we have to do that ourselves in many ways. Again, the power of digital, where you can reach so many people all at once, blogging about it, writing articles about it. Every touch point that you have with the consumer, you're letting them know why the beetroot is great for their blood pressure that they're drinking, stuff like that. So I think we need to do a lot more. And it's something that I hope that as we build back better, governments around the world would speak a lot more to issues around healthier diets and the power of locally grown food.
Yes, interesting point. How about you, Ms. Kwashe? Do you have any other thoughts?
Right, I'm just going to add a little to what, the master Ada has said, my mistress, sorry. With regards to education, I think there should be more sensitization within our schools, especially, I'm going to speak from the rural, part. There are a lot of people who don't know what to eat, the right things to eat, what goes into their system. So I think it will be very important that the government or maybe agencies, NGOs like UNDP and other UN organizations to come together and help this sensitize or bring up programs to help the youth or the younger ones within the rural areas to understand what they eat or what goes into their system. Because if they don't, it's going to affect them, and at the end of the day, affects the population as a whole, the whole country. Because if they know what exactly they're eating, if they know how to even grow what they eat, it's going to be very, helpful for everybody in the country. So that's everything I can add.
Great. So, Mr. Sato-san, the two mentioned about the importance of government. So I think the power of business and power of innovation technology is important, but it's also important to work with the government. And Mr. Sato, you have a lot of experience working with the local government. What's your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much. When we do business in Africa, it takes a lifetime to visit the clinic one by one. So that I took the top-down approach, working with the government, and the philosophy is that nobody is left behind. Senegalese area, I visited two organizations. I went to the school. There's no electricity. Even the teachers are unable to use a personal computer. Everything is on paper and pencil, so that the teachers are so eager to teach ICT technology to the students. So that anybody, so that the audience today obviously have the internet. So that the audience who are unable to join us today had no internet. So that those audiences left behind. So that what we can do, what we should do, so that we have to work with the government and what we could explore, what we could do as a private sector, so that we have to bring the electricity, internet, and computers in the regional areas of the Senegal. So everything starts from that digitalization, so that because there are so many people who cannot read, so that the digital screen is important. It is so powerful to educate them, so that we need to create something in the harmony with the government.
Thank you. So Sato-san mentioned an important term of to leave no one behind. I think this is one of the key phrases when we are talking about technology. So I want to ask you three, what's like the value of digital technology in trying to leave no one behind, and how can what needs to be taken care of to leave no one behind?
Well, yes. So in a word, so we have the local communities. They have own culture, but they seem to be happy in the rural area. But on the other hand, that some of the mother was not successfully, let's say, provided the birth to, let's say, that the babies, and even the kids had to just carry the water by themselves. But I think once we have the pumping waters, and then I think that to make it happen, we need to have an internet in the local areas. So that we need to actually the bottom up the lifestyle in of the people. By doing this, their income is increasing, and then so that their life is going to be enriched. And then I know that the population is growing up. And then I think that thanks to the digitalization, and then they can actually include that, say, salaries and incomes, and they can actually provide a better education to the kids without, say, that giving a lot of birth to them. So that we can actually, they'll be able to be a richer country in Africa, along with that, say, the great, say, the power of the digitalizations.
Do you two agree on that, the point Sato-san made, that technology can help empower the family and the lifestyles of each people living in Africa?
Sorry, I just wanted to say I agree with everything Sato-san said. It's just so important. We have hundreds of millions of people, not just in Africa, worldwide, that still don't have access to the technology. So they're being left behind by this digital transformation and what we're seeing. So we just have to find more inclusive ways to carry them along. And if it's, and that's why it's beautiful, even folks are already thinking about this, how do you still have mobile devices, solutions that still allow you to record information even when it's offline, for example, so that when you do take it to an online place, you can still gather that data, you can still make the right decision. So I think we, side by side, we constantly have to be thinking about the fact that there's still millions of people who are completely offline and not be part of this. So finding solutions around that.
So what kind of support is needed? Do you need more devices, more infrastructure, more education? What's the factor?
I think everyone should kind of pop in here, but it's almost everything. It's
everything.
Everything. It's the education. You spoke about government earlier on. It's so key. It's wonderful that UNDP is getting us to have this conversation. It means they're obviously thinking about it, top of mind. They have a strong role, development institutions, to fund these things. We haven't really talked about financing here today, but folks need to get the money to do the research in a big way. When you spoke about knowledge and the fact that the local knowledge and all of that, sometimes we have to own that research. We have to own it in many ways and get the funding for the young people to put their minds to work and find unique solutions that are specific to our environment. So I think money and access to funding and finance is a big thing we should also consider as we think about the digital revolution.
I see. So Ms. Kwashi, we kind of touched on the point that technology is important, but at the same time, we should not leave no one behind. What's your thought on that?
Right. So my sister Ada and then my brother Sato has really touched on majority of things I want to say. But indeed, there's nothing more inspirational than seeing the power of people coming together to achieve the purpose. So with the digitization we're talking about, we need more sensitization in the education. Is very key and it's very important. It's very, very important because we don't have to leave the uneducated, the poor, or maybe the less privileged behind. No, we all need to come on board. And of course, kudos to UNDP and the other organizations helping in that regard. We need to continue to hammer more on the digitization and technology to help reduce that drudgery of, the work or the stress on women, especially in regards of even agriculture, when we go to the rural environments and other places. So more education needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, great. So as we have to end the talk in about 10 or 5 minutes, I'd like to ask you three my final question, and I would like each one of you to answer this question. So it's about the future. How do you envision the future of development with the power of digital transformation, envisioning 2030? What are you going to do in next 10 years? So Mr. Sato-san, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you for the invitation. If I may repeat myself, so in the urban area, the speed of the internet is fast. It is because of optical fiber is installed. But if you drive 1 hour from here, there is no, connection. So that there's no digital. So that means that everybody can participate. No one is left behind. The one message is that what we have been the struggle for the 3 years. So that's the message I would like to come across to the international organizations. Our company is a small startup, and with the support of the JICA, I started discussion with the Ministry of the Health and went to AFDB. And the finance is the challenge. So that obtained at the 1 billion yen obtained, but less than that, there's no organizations to offer the less than 1 billion yen, so that the funding or the financial assistance is just for the enterprises, big companies, so that we need the financial assistance for the SMEs and the smaller funds, so that not building the Africa, not redesign Africa. Let's do the business together with African people, African companies, so that Africa has the great potential. Let's unlevel it. So that we need to change the mindset of the African people and Japanese people, and so that more and more Japanese companies goes to Africa to do business, so that Africa shouldn't be the dark continent anymore. So that we have to, give them more information about Africa to the Japanese investors to attract more investment and appetite of the investment.
Yes, I agree that it will be a lot of opportunities in terms of investment in business, and that's a very good point to touch upon. So next, I have Ms. Osaka. Yes, please.
Sure. Ryan, everything we do at Newly right now is really just the tip of the iceberg with regards to such a huge, big problem, a really big problem we're trying to solve. And, as I see the fact that $3 trillion is the size of the packaged foods industry worldwide, imagine if all the big food companies were using proper food technologies to research the right local produce that could actually be better for the products that they're making, that can go around the world and give us healthier diets. I think it's a big thing to see. So I'm seeing a few companies looking in that way, using big data, analyzing, doing good research with machine learning to truly understand what are the right products, the right food items to use as raw materials in their products, so that we have a healthier community. So that's really what I want to see going forward in many ways, and hopefully in the process, using our rural communities, our local farmers to source those raw materials, so that you can completely change their lives and create wealth for millions of people.
Yeah, so Ms. Kwashi, I'd like to ask my final question about the future. How do you envision the future of development with the power of digital transformation, envisioning 2030? What are you going to do in the next 10 years?
Right, thank you very much for the question. And so the future of agriculture, or the future of any other industry, is going to experience a very massive transformation with digital technology. So with my company like this, we're going to do extensive research in technology and advance ourselves in the next 10 years to be the go-to hub for all greenhouse support services in Africa and beyond. So that is what we are going to do. And my advice to everyone is that wherever you are, whatever you find yourself doing, make sure you fix in some form of technology in your business operations again, because if you fail to do that, you're going to be out of business and then out of relevance. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Sato, do you have anything to add?
Thank you very much for the invitation. So this time, so that I'm here as a Japanese, and it is we are a small company that we obtain the fund, and we garner more and more attention from the Japanese investors. So doing business in the African companies is getting more attention, so that the prevalent or a classical mindset of Japan is not to take risks, but we have to change our mindset. Africa is not the far away, so that we should be more aggressively, and we are more engaged in doing business with African people in the African continent.
Thank you so much, Sato-san. So thank you, Sato-san. Thank you, Ms. Osakwe and Ms. Kwashier. So today, I think I learned that technology itself won't solve everything. It's the people or the NGOs or the entrepreneurs or the government working together with technology that will solve a lot of problems. And we touched upon a lot of great aspects today, but still, I think this is only the beginning. And I hope not only us, the four of us talking today, but those who are watching will take action and making use of technology and thinking about why we should use technology, what purpose we should use that technology, and to take action to make the world a better place. And I hope you can tweet using Turn It Around and share your thoughts and continue the conversation. So thank you so much, Sato-san, and thank you everyone, Osakwe-san. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, great to see you. Bye.
Bye.